Hey all, Blake here with another video, and today we've got another top 10 aquarium items that you can find outside of the normal aquarium stores. Today we headed into Officeworks, which was at the request of a number of viewers of the other videos in this series. Other videos such as my Bunnings, Kmart, supermarket, dollar store, and many others. It seems to have been a series that has really taken off, so I appreciate your support on that one. And without any further ado, let's jump straight into the video and talk about 10 aquarium items you can find at Officeworks. To get things started, we're going to talk about whiteboards or pinboards or corkboards, whatever you want to call them. We're talking about a board that you hang up, generally speaking, at the entrance of your fish room. You can jot down when you last changed water, when you last medicated, or any other little tidbits of information that is important to remember and that is likely that we'll forget. So I really like this idea, even just keeping things attached via a magnet, you know, things like specialty medication instructions, things that are likely to go in a drawer, be lost forever. I think that can be a real lifesaver in fish rooms is whiteboards, noteboards, any boards to sort of write down some critical information. Number 2 on the list is an item that allows me to do this and this. And I think it's really, really important. So of course I'm talking about smart switches, and I've found them to be super handy. So I've got 3 main banks of smart switches in my fish room. We have the racking system is on one, the main aisle is on another, and then the top of the racking system is on a third. We also have some lights that have individual timers, but that's irrelevant for what we're talking about right now. Smart switches are really great because you can program in any number of cycles, where a mechanical timer you're pretty much limited to 1 or 2 generally speaking. I find them to be pretty foolproof even in the event of a power outage. Most of them have sort of an internal battery, or as soon as you get back onto Wi-Fi, things sort of get moving again. I have found that some of the cheaper ones can be a little bit unreliable, but the bigger brands, you generally speaking, are pretty good, and I haven't had too much trouble with them. If you haven't tried them out before, I really recommend it because rather than reaching behind a big racking system, I can just change the programming super easy on my phone, and they're even compatible with number 3 on the list, which we'll talk about now. The third device allows me to do all the things that smart switches do, but without having to have my phone in my hand. It's incredibly helpful when the lights turn off and I'm scrambling around in the dark. You can simply say, turn off fish room.
Sure, turning off 3 outlets.
And then everything turns off, and then it's simple as saying, turn on fish room. And then everything turns back on again. Super handy, and it's great to show your friends when they come around. Outside of that, obviously you can play music through the Google Home or Alexa, and I think it's just really great to have an assistant in the fish room. You can ask things about the weather, what day it is, you can set reminders and all sorts of things. I would really recommend getting sort of some of these smarter features incorporated into our fish rooms, and I think we could all benefit from this as well. Next one on the list, I'm going to talk about something that is right here, and that is a stool or step. Especially if you're going to go 3 layers up in your fish room, it's really important just to get up there, have a good look around what's going on in that aquarium, see if there's any uneaten food and debris, and you can make, tidy it up there. I know some of you may be a little bit less height challenged than me, but I think everybody can do with having a stool or a step within the fish room, so especially if you've got those high, hard to reach places. They're relatively cheap and inaccessible, and they're just really handy to have around the place. Next one on the list I have talked about in a lot of these top 10 series, and they're one that just keep coming up, and they are storage containers. For the price, they're so versatile. Whether you're going to use them as plant grow outs, quarantine tubs, even just storage, the thing that they're made for. I think plastic tubs and containers are really, really important. You can't have too many of them, and just overall they're great to have in any fish room as well. Another smarter device that I think it's great to have in your fish room, especially if you're going to be selling on things like Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, MeWe, any of these platforms that basically require people to come over to your house. First of all, I'd recommend not letting anybody into your fish room, but in some cases people want to look around and you may be open to that. In that case, I'd recommend having some Wi-Fi cameras, or even hardline cameras in your fish room. So You can find these at Officeworks, and I recommend having a couple publicly visible so that people are aware that there are cameras in your fish room. And then I think it's a good idea to have a couple out of sight so that basically if people are aware of where your cameras are looking, then they can't avoid being caught on camera. Overall, I think it's just a great deterrent, and hopefully none of us ever need them, but it's also pretty good to just check in on hotter days, make sure everything's going all right, or in power outages, you can just check in from work or from wherever you are and just check in and make sure everything's going okay in your fish room. So smart cameras are really great to have in your fish room as well. Next one on the list is pretty important as well, and these are the Rolly storage towers. They're really great. Generally speaking, they have sort of 4 layers, and I'd recommend in that case to have the top layer for all your tools, nets, scissors and that sort of thing. Maybe the second drawer you might have all your foods and things like that, and then the bottom drawer you might have as a sort of a bin or area that you can put plant trimmings and stuff like that. I'm sure you can work it out to the best of what your requirements are, but I just reckon if you've got the room to wheel these things around, they can make light work of tasks that generally require many laps back and forth to. After that, we have cutting implements such as scissors and razor blades, really great for cutting airline tubing, resealing aquariums, cutting back silicone of course, trimming as well in a pinch. There's plenty of reasons why we use razor blades and scissors in our fish rooms. I find that I just never have enough. No matter how many scissors I get, I find that I lose pairs here and there, and I'm always looking for pairs of scissors or razor blades, especially when I'm deep in a project. So hopefully you like that idea. Next one is great for making notes as well, and that is a dry/wet eraser. Dry erasers or wet erasers are really great to just write on the front of tanks or on the side. You can write when you did a water change, when you medicated, any sort of things that you notice. Maybe you notice a growth start to appear and you want to just jot that down and keep an eye on things. I think these can be really, really important and underutilized in fish rooms as well. So recommend picking up a couple of dry or wet erasers just to make little notes for yourself on your specific aquariums. And last but not least, I've got one in my hand right here. We're talking about notepads, diaries, and these are once again really important just to keep an eye on things. Even in the early days, I found that it was really great to just have a notepad, plan out any future fish that I wanted to get, how I would plan out the actual pairing or tank mates and stuff in aquariums, diet. I'd just cross-check some notes on care and stuff like that. And I think it can be really important to just have a diary, just to sort of keep notes for yourself, get some ideas and inspiration down on paper. You're more likely to remember things that way, and I think just it's good practice to take good notes, because then you'll know for sure why things are going right or why things are going wrong. There you go guys, that's 10 items you can get for your fish room from Officeworks. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, it always helps me out to smash like, hit subscribe, and all that fun stuff. Other than that, I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.